Come on. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. What I'm talking about. Says we all do better when we all do better. You can't get better than that. Yeah, we all do better when we all do better. You can't get better than that. I said we all do better when we all do better. You can't get better than that. We all do better when we all do better. You can't get better than that. We all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. Say we all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. Come on, I said we all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. We all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. We all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. Come on, y'all.
And that ain't no crime. And that ain't no crime.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. What I'm talking about. Says we all do better when we all do better. You can't get better than that. Yeah, we all do better when we all do better. You can't get better than that. I said we all do better when we all do better. You can't get better than that. We all do better when we all do better. You can't get better than that. We all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. Say we all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. Come on, I said we all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. We all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. We all do better when we all do better. We can't get better than that. Come on, y'all.
And that ain't no crime.
once again to Gangstagrass on the Friday before Pi Day. I hope everybody's as excited as we are about Pi Day coming up on Sunday. Where's our nerds at? Nobody's in the stream yet. We got to wait till some people get here to chat, but where are my nerds at?
I'm just now realizing I've been on mute this whole time.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody has had that experience so many times in the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a good strategy recently though. Yesterday I was on something where somebody's muted and they were like, "Oh, you're muted." And so when he unmuted himself, he was like, "Oh man, I just gave like the best nugget of wisdom, and I guess you just missed it. You'll be sorry forever."
Oh, James Peterson's in the house.
Sweet, James Peterson got them photos.
Hell yeah. Took some of the
Okay.
dopest shots we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, which ones are those?
He's in Madison, in Wisconsin.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
He got the shots. Was he there? Did he get those birthday shots when I had my birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, sending out the 314 because it's what? The Friday before Pi
Yeah.
Day.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah,
exciting.
when he took those pictures in that haunted basement.
Yeah, the haunted basement.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Haunted basements.
So, thank you for tuning in to join with us on a Friday night. We're here, and we are going to be talking about some math stuff and talking about our song for Pi Day. And play that for you guys since it came out today, released today. Pi Day by Gangstagrass, because we're a bunch of nerds. And then if we actually get to it this time, we'll talk about our jobs in our earlier lives, which we didn't get to last time because we just started talking about all kinds of random stuff. So that might happen again. Who knows? Feel free to completely distract us and get us off course by saying stuff in the chat that we start responding to, and we will get completely off on a tangent, and that will be fine.
That's right.
Yeah,
Rusty
we'll
and
end up
Jen
talking
and
about cats,
James, we will take your questions. As you can see, we are a low-staffed crew today.
What's up, Noli D?
Noli
Oh,
D
yeah.
in the house. Noli D was there for the premiere of Pi Day earlier
Mhm.
today. Brought a whole crew of folks over to the premiere. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to see it on the stream tonight. But you can also find it on the Gangstagrass YouTube channel, which is what, Dolio?
YT.gangstagrass.tv.
That's the thing.
Right.
YT.gangstagrass.tv.
And I unfortunately missed the premiere because
Go Whitey.
I was doing something nerdy.
What were you
I-
doing,
I
Dolio?
was teaching a class on algorithms.
Mhm.
Algorithms. They have the best rhythm. Algorithms can dance, let me tell you that.
Al Gore rhythms?
Algorithms, that is a different thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he did invent the internet, right? James Peterson let us know that the Frequency closed down, the club that we were playing in Madison, man.
Oh, man.
So much of that.
RIP Frequency.
Yeah, we lost too many venues this year.
Yeah.
Some of them to the COVID, some of them to tornadoes.
Hmm. Right. Basement East in Nashville to the tornado.
They're going to reopen, though. Basement East is reopening.
Cool.
Beast coming
The
back.
beast.
And that story about how the wall that was left standing was the one with the like Love Nashville mural,
Mhm.
which is kind of a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But we were there the week before that tornado. Like we basically left and the tornado was like came in our wake. Like we left too big of a vortex.
Hmm. Yeah. But we'll pour some out for Frequency tonight. May we see you again in another life. And RIP to the Claremont Lounge in
Ugh.
Atlanta.
Here.
Yeah. Well, I'm just happy I finally got a chance to go. After what all the photos you guys were sending me when I was in Glasgow.
There's definitely not any photos we were sending you.
No, we definitely. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we would have gotten shot if we tried to take any.
No,
photos.
you showed me photos of the beer cans.
Oh, the
afterwards.
beer. Yes, that's right. That's right. Blondie did smash a can of PBR with her breasts for me because it was my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. There weren't any photos of the activities, just descriptions of the activities. So I had to go there to witness them myself.
Indeed.
I just saw the aftermath.
Yeah.
That's right. It wasn't as good a night when you went though,
Yeah,
because
it wasn't karaoke night.
yeah, when we were there, it was half strippers and half karaoke, and when you were there, it was like some weird local band that I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, we still had a good time.
They were
was
punk
some,
rock, man.
There was an abundance of hood Grammys,
Hmm.
as it were.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott, for the tip over in YouTube. Scott Woodford, props to you.
Thank you, Scott. Yay!
Here we go. So let's talk about math a little bit, because we have the big math holiday of the year coming up on Sunday, March 14th,
Yep.
being Pi Day, of course, for 3.141592, etc. We'll tell our best pie stories. It's like one time I went out and got drunk with pie, and we went dumpster diving and found a dead body. I don't know, what kind of pie stories do you have?
I've never met Pi, but I hear Pi is wild, and part of it. First of all, Pi is an amazing storyteller, and will never ever tell the same story twice. Just won't
That's true.
repeat. Just ever.
Yeah, but Pi can be really annoying, just because she's so irrational.
Oh, and just goes on and on
forever.
and on
On forever.
and on.
We got the jokes here tonight, folks.
I'm curious, Dolio. So you said you were teaching algorithms today. What is like, when you're introducing students to this concept, how do you introduce them to the concept? Like, how would you bring somebody who really didn't get what the whole point of algorithms were, or even what they were? How do you get that to people into their brains?
Well, usually when we get to the point of the algorithms lessons, we've already established their, I guess, functional thought in their arithmetic thought, and but it's mostly just saying, okay, at this point they've already been writing algorithms, they just haven't known it or been told that they were algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically, okay, it's a set of instructions for doing a certain task. So it's about finding which is the most efficient algorithm to perform that task based on how many iterations it takes, like how many times you have to do a thing to get to the thing you're trying to get to. And then just breaking down different types, like the different types of algorithms that it would be. So different types of search algorithms, different types of sorting or algorithms. Part of it involves explaining what a log is.
Log is a great toy for boys and girls, I believe.
Which is funny because I had another class I was teaching today about logging of a different sort, in which the example I did actually printed out the words to the song, the log theme song, while you were running.
A log. Everyone needs a log.
And it wrote it to a log, like a system log.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because after you show them a bunch of different ways to solve a problem, you learn how to streamline it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like really our second.
Oh yeah!
Thank
Man,
you,
the party
Noli,
is popping already.
for resubscribing.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you bringing all those folks to the Pi Day.
Indeed. By the way, Scott, who gave us the tip over on YouTube, had a question.
Yes, Scott.
About what got us playing music, or a band that inspired us. You want to rock it?
Yeah. What started? My grandmother, who recently passed away, she was the church pianist for Sunday school.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since I was like a little tyke toddler, I would sit on the piano bench next to her during Sunday school while she played the piano.
Was that the same one that's the librarian?
Yes.
Nice.
So that's what started my journey in music, is her playing the piano and me watching and listening. And she also had an awesome singing voice,
Hmm.
singing in the choir with her, and then singing in choir in church, and then playing in band in middle school. Started with the trumpet. Most of the men in my family also played percussion.
Nice.
That's just kind of I guess sort of a cultural thing.
Yes.
We're kind of tribal that way. And then just various brass instruments, but when it comes to like hip hop, it was more of the percussive element of it. I was already writing poetry. It just kind of combines the two for me.
And what was a band that inspired you along the journey?
Parliament Funkadelic.
Originally a
I
doo-wop
would
band.
I would raid my mother's record collection a lot. So she was big into Parliament. She was big into Mars Day and the Time. Rick James, Prince, a lot of funk, a lot of early like that Minneapolis sound. Barcades, the Ass Band, Gap Band, who I believe are from Tulsa, actually.
Got the funk.
Yeah, a lot. I was brought up on the funk, and funk and hip hop to me going hand in hand, especially being from the South. Is just kind of Southern hip hop is very funky. So I've always been about that bass.
Yeah.
No trouble.
Yeah. And that was before Megan. Trainer, that is.
Yeah. How about you, Wrench?
Well, I started violin lessons when I was 4.
Wow.
And my dad was really into music. He played bass a little bit, but mostly it was just that he had like friends that were in bands and stuff. So we went out to see concerts and stuff when I was little. And he also introduced me to something that inspired me through a bunch of my life, which is Graham Parsons, as a point of inspiration. The way that he sort of saw a way to cross the psychedelic hippies rock music with the country rednecks music and piss everybody off at the same time, and be way ahead of his time. So that was an inspiration for me.
Nice. And though I'm not a performer in the band, I do play dobro largely because my daddy played it, and that was my inspiration, and like my biggest regret in life is not having him teach me when I was a kid. I didn't have him teach me until I was an adult, when I sort of started to realize how finite our parents' lives are. And so I got him to teach me as much as I could before he passed, but it's like a way of communing with him to be able to play that. But I really miss having him play the guitar alongside me, or any number of instruments that he played. He played the fiddle, he played the bass, he was amazing at the dobro. One time when I was a kid, he rented a clarinet. Like, I was renting whatever instrument I was renting, some kind of drum for middle school, and he just rented a clarinet and taught himself how to play it and then took it back. It's a very cool thing to do. And then of course I did some helping out friends who work for They Might Be Giants, and that gave me the skill set that I needed to go on the road with a touring band. So thank you to They Might Be Giants and the awesome crew over there. Truly awesome crew. I mean, that's like a well-oiled machine. It's really, really impressive that they have that many people doing that many things. They're a band that travels with their lighting director, and their front of house is running the soundboard, and they're like bringing their own soundboard. I mean, the unloading situation is a whole thing. what is it, Mr. Smalls in Pittsburgh, which I think, or not yes, Pittsburgh? Yeah. It's super hilly, and I can't remember if the place still exists, but it's like this mad hill outside. Like, you know, you can try to take a picture. It's one of those hills that you try to take a picture of it, but the picture does not convey,
Justice.
yeah, how steep it is, like very San Francisco-y. And the load in, load out is basically like up and down this hill, which is the whole thing. We had Travis in the Facebook chat said, perhaps the joint before a conversation about math was a poor choice. And I just want to say I disagree.
Yeah, you'd be shocked how many like deep. We get into all kinds of like theoretical physics and
Yeah.
conversations. We and stuff when we I guess are under the influence of things.
And by the way, Nolly D is stepping in hard for Sleeves. I don't know what it was she said, but she's feeling like she has to lay down the law right now that you should be involved in the live stream, which is not really a question. So
Nah, that's no question. Correct. Oh, James says correction. Joint before nerd talk, obligatory.
Obligatory. That's right. That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
man.
Take it.
yeah.
That is some good stuff. I
And,
wish.
Melanie in the YouTube is saying how they celebrate Pi Day with geocaching events.
That makes
which
sense.
is a very cool way to do it.
Yeah, I like that. I guess, and geocaching is a thing you can still safely do during a pandemic if you take the appropriate precautions. So that's cool. That's exciting. How are we celebrating Pi Day, folks? Besides releasing a super dope song on the Friday before Pi Day.
Well, you already saw me making a pie today. So.
I saw you making a pizza pie. Are you gonna make like a key lime pie or a sweet potato pie or a peach
Actually,
pie?
I'm making a
apple
blueberry pie. For Pi Day.
Blueberry pie. Oh, I love blueberry pie.
Yeah, I got all my berries
Yeah.
set aside.
Right. And also we're celebrating Pi Day by talking about math a little bit. So I want to ask you guys about your favorite mathematical insight or conversation point that you have.
Oh my God. I just love algebra. Algebra is my favorite. I love it. I love it in part because it teaches logic. You know, there's like logic and algebra are deeply intertwined. I love it because it's applicable in my day-to-day life and just in the way that, you know, geometry was when I was doing some home renovations. Geometry was applicable, but it's not a thing I use every single day. Algebra is a thing I use every single day. I have, you know, a quantity left over. I have a quantity that I started with. What's the quantity that there's just so many applications for it every day. I love algebra. I took an intro to algebra class in college, even though I already knew all of my algebra, just because I wanted to do it. Just wanted to spend more time with it.
Was there any point in your life that you could point to that either like made you a math fan or like boosted it along the way?
Ooh. So that's a really great question. I feel like it's something everybody should actually think about, especially parents. I think mine might have been fractions. I think I was always found numbers appealing, but fractions was where it all made sense, right? A quarter is a quarter of what? It's a quarter of a dollar, you know, and this whole, the way the cutting up of the pies, all that. And I think it's actually really important. The reason I think it's important to think about it is because if you look at what's happening in schools today, and back when I was at the Washington Post, I wrote a big Washington Post magazine piece about this. In a lot of places, and I was specifically looking at Montgomery County, Maryland, but this is happening all over the country, and has been for, you know, a decade or two now, where these sort of, you know, possibly helicopter parents, possibly other factors, they're seeing other kids get advanced in math, you know, oh, you get to skip this level of math and go directly to this other level of math. And so the parents are saying, well, that kid's skipping, why can't my kid skip? And the schools are just sort of bowing to that pressure and basically skipping huge numbers of kids past, you know, some given level of math. And in a lot of places, in Montgomery County in particular, that math that was getting skipped was third grade math, which is where you learn fractions and where you learn long division. And what was happening was those kids were getting into high school at like this, you know, one of the top magnet math high schools, math and science high schools in the country. And they weren't able to cut it in the way that students had in the past. And they had to go back and basically do, you know, remedial math to catch them back up, because they couldn't do calculus because they didn't have the fundamentals of long division, and they weren't getting certain concepts because they didn't fully understand fractions. They were doing them on their calculator, and they just hadn't gotten that depth of understanding in that early elementary school math. So yeah.
That sucks if that's happening.
What about you, Delia? Did you have any things that brought you to math as a math fan?
I kind of was always into math because it was a thing that always just kind of made sense to me, because it was it was a subject that wasn't necessarily about memorization. It was about deduction. So algebra came to me, I guess around 4th grade is when I learned algebra from watching the Smurfs.
Oh.
There was an episode of the Smurfs, and I can't remember what the entire plot line was, but there was something going on where they had to figure out this code that was in a cave. Some sort of cipher to figure out the code so they could, I don't know, something Gargamel was trying to do to them or whatever. But I saw it was a brainy Smurf and Papa Smurf put their heads together to figure out what was going on to solve this message that was scrawled on the wall of the cave, but it turned out it was algebra. And then from that, I was just like, oh, this all makes sense. And it just kind of made, from there, I was basically applying this stuff to everything I was doing up until I actually got algebra in middle school, which kind of made me a beast at it to the point to where I became, I guess what you would call a mathlete. This is basically going to math competitions. Like, you know, I was on the algebra team, the trig team, the calculus team, all that good stuff. But a lot of good things have happened to me because of math. You know, actually, I met my first girlfriend on a math trip.
Nice. I met my first boyfriend at math camp.
It was we were, I think, at a state math competition, and state algebra competition is like 9th grade or something like that. And we had just, you know, racked up a bunch of trophies, and you know, we kind of hollered at her on the bus, and you know, made it do what it do. It was it 10th grade? One of those grades.
Yeah, math, I'm sure, has been responsible for a lot of our relationships. How about you, Wrench? What was your golden math moment?
No, I didn't get into math for a long time. I was okay at math in school. So I did fine. I got okay grades at it, you know, enough to pass and be like, okay, I'm done with that. And really I didn't think math and science were interesting. I considered myself like, I'm a creative person. I'm into like, wow, creative stuff, and that stuff doesn't really interest me, because kind of the opposite of your experience of something making sense, getting you excited, is like, it like demotivated me, because I was like, oh, that's just stuff that makes sense. It's just plugging in the numbers and deducing the same thing. So it wasn't until something exposed me to the fact that there's also parts of it that don't make sense that got me excited. And the first thing I can point to, this was a little after college, I read a book about Zero. I think it was called Zero, the autobiography of a number.
Ooh.
And I think I partially read that book because I didn't believe it could be interesting. It was like seeing a book that was like, here's this thing that you would not believe, like a whole interesting book could be written about, and like hearing somebody be like, oh, that was really cool, and be like, I can't imagine how I would enjoy that. So I'm going to find out like what the deal is with this. And I started reading this book about zero, the history of zero. And I was totally into it. I was like, this is totally crazy. The history of, humans at first not having the concept of zero, and then it being controversial, the church banning it, and then it leading to all these other things, that since it's the flip side of infinity and you can't divide by it, and it brings up all of these weird, problematic things in math.
Is it the biography of a dangerous idea?
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh,
Putting it on
provocatively
my reading
named.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put that on the
So
list
I
for
read
book
that
club.
book and I was like, I think math could actually be really interesting to learn about, the history of it and the concepts of it, because actually there's more to it than I thought. And the next thing I read was Fermat's Enigma by Singh, which was an amazing book, really, really enjoyable book, full of really astounding anecdotes about math history.
Yeah, it's funny. My extended essay for
For
senior
your
year
IB, yeah.
was on Pierre de Fermat's last theorem.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I
So
spent like the entire summer writing that thing.
yeah. Fermat's Enigma was really, really good and introduced a whole lot of really interesting, non-simple things. It talked about Gödel's incompleteness theorem. It talked about all of these mathematicians figuring out certain things. It talked about Gauss as a young mathematician, like pissing off his teachers by figuring out better ways to solve the problems than they were giving the students in their instructions and stuff. It talked about Euler as a mathematician being so badass that at the time, the Russian monarchy was having a problem with atheists trying to turn people against the monarchy. So the Tsar Nicholas or whoever it was at the time basically demanded that Euler come from Germany to Russia. And you can't be like, no, Tsar, that's cool, I'm not coming. Like, you go. And then the Tsar was like, I'm setting you up to debate an atheist so that you can disprove atheism and we can, get rid of these pesky atheists. And Euler was like, that's not a thing you can do with math. But of course, the Tsar did not want to hear that. He was just like, nope, this is how it works, and you're going to do it because you're the smartest man in the world. So Euler was like, oh, okay, I don't have a choice here. So he goes up to the debate, and he gets to go first, and he just pulls out all the most esoteric stuff he can throw together of like, the exponential function of the logarithmic coefficient of the sine wave of this is equal to that, which is not prime numbers on the this and this, therefore God exists, respond. And the person representing atheism was like, I have no idea. I can't say anything to that. That was a bunch of gobbledygook. So that was his strategy. And at least it got him to the point where they could not refute him and the Tsar would not be angry.
This feels like a bit of a preview of like modern politics.
Yes,
I'm just going to spew a bunch of gobbledygook and say that something is true. And you're going to be dumbfounded because how do you respond to all my gobbledygook? You can't. Haha, I win.
Yeah. And of course, the book Fermat's Enigma was about this particular math problem, this conjecture that took hundreds and hundreds of years for somebody to actually have a proof of, and they had to develop all these new kinds of math. It was really fascinating. From there, I started reading books about physics, which I also had not assumed was interesting because I thought it was just mechanics. You put in the equations and you find out when the ball falls, how far, blah, blah, blah.
Right, but Newtonian versus quantum is just...
Yeah, when I started
apart.
reading about quantum physics and relativity, I was like, what? What?
Yeah.
No, this is crazy. So I had to read a lot more about that.
Because the Newtonian is mostly like a simplified version of all that, because it eliminates all the pesky variables that you don't have to account for when you're dealing with everything.
Mhm.
But that even then, that was what made physics so much fun for me, was the fact that it was basically math, which was the same for chemistry,
Mhm.
which was basically math. You know.
So that's interesting. I had difficulties, at least in high school, with both chemistry and physics. I think chemistry had more to do with the fact that my teacher was a horrible person who used to walk up behind girls and pretend to cut their ponytails off, like the sort of stuff that would never be allowed today. Um, but physics, the problem was memorization. That you had to memorize so many equations. So it was like I understood the concepts and I could do the math, but I couldn't remember which equations related to which concept. So I was always getting
Well,
stuff wrong because I didn't remember how to apply it.
yeah, for physics, it mostly was that everything to me boiled down to one equation, and if you use calculus to integrate that one equation in different ways a certain number of times, you get the other equations.
Okay.
You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, so like basically when you come like for instance, when you're calculating, like for instance, when you're talking about the translational distance according to the amount of time passes based upon the acceleration of a thing,
Mhm.
right? You start with an initial velocity, excuse the whiskey, initial velocity, and then you have the acceleration, and then you have the time factor, right? So once you memorize the equation to calculate x being the translational distance based upon the time using the acceleration and the initial velocity, you can integrate that to get things like, for instance, like, because when you start putting things like force, which is basically the mass combined with that, so your mass times the acceleration gets you the force.
F equals ma. That much I know.
Right. I mean, the other stuff, and then stuff like the area, the like pressure is basically the force, spread across an area.
Mhm.
So each one of those equations is just you taking one thing and adding one additional factor to it.
Oh my gosh. You would have been so much better a physics teacher than the physics teacher I actually had.
Actually, I think I put it in. Oh, I put it in a song. That's in a Gangstagrass song.
Wait, which one? Which one? Point the people in the
Um,
direction of the song.
Oh snap! Since we're talking about Pi Day, it's in "Will the Circle Be Unbroken."
Yeah.
That's that one. Was it the bonus track on one of the CDs?
Yep, the hidden track on Broken Hearts and Stolen Money.
Yeah, it's the one where I said like the mic in my hand with a chords like a lance or a sword. Step in my radius, I'm hitting every tangent you're on.
Right. That's right. You did go all circly.
And then I started off with geometry and then moved into physics from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love it.
But yeah, that song has the equation.
Diane is joining us, New York City teacher, in the chat.
Woohoo.
And also, who was saying?
I was looking at Scott's comment in the YouTube channel. I was inspired to pick up bass guitar listening to a bass solo from Cliff Burton. My favorite math is my dad teaching me about tax deductions. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
And Melanie in the YouTube was bringing up Gödel Escher Bach,
Yep.
the Golden Braid book. So we had to shout that out because we have actually discussed that before.
We have, and my opinion of it is it's too long. It's long and dense.
And Melanie is also right. Math is music.
Yes, math
So,
is
like,
music and music is math.
I think playing music also helped me with math because I was involved in music at an early age, and early on breaking things down from measures to beats and whole notes and half notes and quarter notes and sixths and going up the scales and all that stuff, and then it translated into physics when I started doing. Oh snap! Sorry, that's darn it. I feel like I have to take this call. This is Cool Kemp from the UMCs.
All
Yeah,
right, we'll
do
see you
it.
later.
Do it.
Yes.
Right.
Hop off. Yeah, math and music are pretty intrinsically connected because music is a mathematically based translation of our emotional response to very mathematical phenomena, which are frequencies that are mathematical and the ratios, the relationships of the frequencies together are really what's producing the sensations that we are looking for in music. And whether it's sad or happy or excited or scary, all the different ways that music makes you respond emotionally are really mathematical in nature and based on the particular mathematical ratios of the intervals between frequencies, the intervals between the time of when something happens, and all of that is quantifiable. So music ultimately comes down to studying the math of these ratios of frequencies and timings.
Danjo was going to be mad he missed this part of the conversation. This is in case anybody's been tuning in on Wednesdays. Danjo's been doing some fun streams where he's been giving basically music lessons, and a big chunk of what Danjo finds so motivating and interesting in music and how he takes it in is through the intervals, and so he's been talking a lot about that. Hey, Dolio, welcome back.
I'm back.
All good?
Yeah, it's all good.
All good. Yay. We are happy to hear that. We have so much in the hopper that we can't talk about yet, but I just want you to know Gangstagrass is not sitting still. And that's, we obviously went into this last week and even the week before, but this last year has been a huge challenge for everybody, almost everybody. Some people I think have really flourished, but for almost everybody, it's been a really huge challenge, across sectors, whether you're in a job that needs to keep going and needs to keep going outside, which has its own challenges, or whether you're in a job like us where you can't go outside because if you had the audacity to bring a crowd of people together, you would be, certainly acting immorally and possibly illegally.
Irresponsibly. Yeah.
Yes, definitely irresponsibly. So there's been this great difficulty, and I was in a Facebook conversation with a friend who unfortunately got COVID going to band practice. And I think I know. And I didn't want to be like, you stupid, because hey, everybody makes their own choices, and I get how that can happen, but my response was shock. Yeah. Speaking of crowds, shout out to Dolio's Cup there from Kingman Island. Island Cup.
Yep. I actually want to expand.
Where we met Pharaoh, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Where you met Pharaoh.
Well, I met Pharaoh. You met him a long time ago.
I actually want to expand a little bit on this because there is a unique perspective that I was gifted with, actually partially by watching a movie called Mind Walk. That I want to share with people, which is that the fact that music mathematically is really is producing what it is solely out of the relationships, the ratios between the frequencies, so that one note on its own is it's a note, right? And it could be anything, but where the character and everything that you care about the music is once there's more than one note, how those two sound together. And so the whole thing is built on the relationships and the ratios of these things. And as well as the timing of things, the rhythm of things is about their relationship of how close it is together. So that music fundamentally, it has some building blocks of notes and timings, but what makes it really work and makes it do everything it does is actually about patterns of relationships, which is a key concept also in understanding the universe better in a way that a lot of humanity hasn't for a long time, because Descartes sort of had a mechanistic view of the universe as a clockwork thing. And you have this piece and it works like this, and you have this piece and it works like this, and we tend to sort of compartmentalize these different things and just quantify this works like this, and there's a level beyond that we're sort of getting to in complexity theory, of understanding that each of these little things is actually impacted by the existence of the other one. And so ecosystems, any quantum physics thing, economics, climate, whatever you're trying to study of the earth and of people and of biology or anything, it's made up of things that are defined by their relationship to each other, that you have to understand as a systemic thing rather than as a bunch of isolated things. And so music is this great metaphor for how, Earth and the universe, and it actually is really like more fundamentally about the relationship between things than all of these isolated little physical things.
I love that, Wrench. That's a great point to bring up. You said it was Mind Walk.
Yeah, which I don't know if it's even on streaming services or anything. It was one of those movies. I don't think it got a wide enough release, so it kind of fell through the cracks, and I don't even know where to find it now.
Well, what you were talking about earlier relates to this too, about zero and how zero is kind of the opposite of infinity. And it brings us to one of my favorite subjects, which is binary. And basically what we're talking about here is, right, if everything is intertwined, then you can say this is one, and this is one, and this is one, but really all together, it's all one. And, we have,
I mean,
we have our ones and zeros.
Even in computer science, it's all ones and zeros, because every algorithm breaks down at its fundamental level a conditional that returns either a true or false assertion. And then once that assertion is made, then you decide what to do after that.
Yes, if then,
Yeah,
and or.
If then, if else, switch cases, all that stuff. All boils down to some Boolean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the like weirdest, nerdiest math related thing that is a skill that you have? A thing that you can do.
I don't know if this is a thing I can do, but there was a while, my first sampler that I ever got it's this box. I actually still have it. It's in the garage, but it was this box. It could sample for about 4 seconds. And you'd have a little floppy disk you'd put in. Yes, I am old, folks. This was like 1990 or something. And it just had some buttons on the front, and the display was like, could display some numbers. There was not a graphic display or anything. And there was not knobs. So you had to do it all with punching buttons. And it only had like a 2-character display. And so the way that it allowed you to adjust some of the parameters that needed more fine tuning than just 0 to 99 is it expressed a bunch of the parameters in hexadecimal. So I would be dealing with numbers like B2 or 6F, and understanding and actually like sort of starting to think, being able to think in a base 16 system. Which was pretty interesting for a while. And I think I actually wrote in my IB studies, I don't know if it was my extended essay, but I did write a paper about why hexadecimal instead of another base system in terms of the way that it was getting encoded into binary.
Yeah, that leads directly into what my weird nerdy math thing is that I can do, which is, as you guys know, I can translate between binary and hexadecimal and the ASCII code in my head. So, and one of
this, folks, by the way, is true. One example is at the Purple Fiddle in Thomas, West Virginia. Awesome venue, lovely town. We love to play there. Purple Fiddle is the best. And they put you up upstairs from the venue is basically a hostel, and they put you up there. And there's a pool table room, which people had written on the walls, drawn on the walls, just kind of like a graffiti covered room. So Sleeves goes in and just starts writing ones and zeros along the bottom of the room. But it was actually saying something.
Yes, that's right. I was actually making a reference to, so I was on one side of the room and there was this like outline of some musician had been like outlined. They'd drawn like an outline around her, and somebody had then put like a scarlet A on the chest. And it got like a little weird on that side of the room, honestly, after that. Some different things got added. We won't go into it. Suffice it to say, it got a little weird. So on my side, I made a person out of the B, and basically wrote something about, on the other hand, you could choose B. Like, you don't have to choose A. But it's cool the way, as Wrench was saying, the way that hexadecimal and binary integrate, how they're related, because if you look at, say, was it James, I think, in the Twitch chat, who was saying, I wrote a color conversion library in PHP that uses math to convert between 7 different color spaces. That's my nerdy thing. So like when I think about colors on, building websites or what have you, I'm thinking about the RGB values. I'm thinking about, how much red do I want? Do I want like FF red, or do I want 00 red, right? The difference between all of it and none of it. And that's why FF 15 15 15 is white, and 000 is black, the absence of color. So, and you can actually look, if you look at the binary, it translates directly to the hexadecimal. So if a hexadecimal, let's say your hexadecimal value is FF, the highest number you can get before you go to your next digit, it's going to be 1111 is the first 4 digits of the binary, and 1111 is the second 4 digits of the binary. So your 8-digit binary of that like ASCII letter or of the color is it works exactly by the places. The last 4 places are that ones digit in the hexadecimal, and those leading 4 places are the 16s digit in the hexadecimal. So it translates very neatly. Yeah.
And a bit in binary is that 4 or 8 digits?
I'm gonna go to Dolio on this one. I think it's 8, but I
believe it's 8.
Yeah, but I will fully admit I'm not sure.
Which is why I guess when you look at, like, for instance, sorry, this is gonna get into it.
Do it,
boy. There we go, folks.
Happy Pi Day, Happy Pi weekend, everybody.
So for like a language of like Java, when you get the 2-string value of something, you get what is the representation of an object in memory, which is the class name attached to the hex of the hash, which is like the identifier, and then encoded in hexadecimal.
Wait, is the hash like it is in the blockchain? Is the hash a 32-bit thing?
Similar. It's similar. Blockchain's a little more complex than that.
I was bringing up the bits because that was also part of my thing with the hexadecimals, is that if you're choosing from 16 possible things in your digits, four digits of binary gives you those 16 options, right? So in a bit, you could have 2 sections of 4 to represent 2 hexadecimal digits.
Word. And I feel like we've covered a bit of Dolio stuff, but I definitely want to get back to Dolio on this question. But first, I just want to give a really quick shout out to Quiet Horse 80, Noli D in the Twitch chat, bringing the jokes. Why can't you trust atoms? Because they make up everything. And this one from earlier, which I loved, I'm gonna read it out because it was awesome. A physicist, a biologist, and a mathematician are sitting on a bench across from a house. They watch as 2 people go into the house, and then a little later, 3 people walk out. The physicist says the initial measurement was incorrect. The biologist says they must have reproduced. And the mathematician says if exactly 1 person enters that house, it will be empty.
That's math. Yeah. Right. I'll tell you another bit of math that has inspired me is the fact that infinity is zero and infinity are kind of basic mathematical concepts, but our brains just don't work with them. Like we're not able to fully grasp. It's so counterintuitive to the way our brains works. And one example of that is that a lot of people have a hard time with the idea that 0.9999999 dot 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 onto infinity equals 1. They'll still say like, no, but you know, you can follow it as long as you want, but it's just going to be slightly less than 1. Well, that's if you stopped, but infinity means you never stop. And so that's something that our brains can't really understand, is going on forever without stopping, because that's like bigger than, like, that's just like against our whole experience in life, is that something could go on without stopping. And so people have a hard time with that, of being like 0.999999 infinity equals 1. No, it equals 0.999 infinity that's getting closer and closer to 1 but never gets there. Right, but it also never stops. So there's no point where it stops and it hasn't gotten there. It's still getting there, because infinity is long enough to get there.
I mean, technically it approximates the 1. Because if you have to represent it as an integer, of course it'd be 1. Which is why you got different types of numbers, you know.
Yeah, but let me break it down for anybody that's still skeptical. Is there anybody skeptical out there that 0.9999 repeating?
I say it's as good as 1.
Well, let me give a little math on this. Take 1 divided by 3. You get 0.333333 repeating.
1/3.
Multiply that back by 3. You get 0.999999 repeating. You just took 1, divided it by 3, and multiplied that back by 3, and got 0.999999 repeating.
Except really, you took 1 and you divided it by 3 and you got 1/3, and then you multiplied it by 3 and you got back to
right.
Back to
it's
1.
because whatever is representing it in its decimal, in its float number, has a limit to the amount of iteration. Well, has a limit to how many places that decimal can reach. Like when you're seeing 333 repeated, you don't see where it stops.
Because it doesn't.
Conceptually, it won't stop at all.
Right.
But whatever device you use to make that calculation will make it stop at some point, which is why when you multiply it by itself, you're going to get 0.99999, because the device that makes the calculation cannot calculate to an infinite amount. So if you go 999 repeating, of course it will go back to 1. I mean, if we go 0.3, if you do from 0.33 repeating, of course it would go back to 1. But the device that you make the calculation on will go back to the 0.999, because inside the device it did stop at a point, which is why you get the 999. If it indeed was doing the infinite iterations of 3, you would get 1.
Oh, wow. Apparently, K Diesel's iPhone calc got me back to 1. So apparently the iPhone calculator can handle this concept, whereas your
Either
standard
that, or it made the made the leap. It assumed, okay, you had this thing that's repeating 3 up until this point, then you must have made a calculation of what a third was.
That is really interesting. So I can take this whole discussion of infinity and bring it back to Euler and religion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, and I was a mathy kid, and I was like a hardcore atheist, and that, as we've discussed before, was because I did the tooth fairy test and determined that it was in fact my parents who were leaving money under my pillow when I lost a tooth, and that for me canceled out also Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and God, which again, that had a logical flaw to it, I realized, but nonetheless, that was how my brain worked at the time. So, but then I started doing the math on it, and I realized that hardcore atheism is just as unsupportable as hardcore belief in basically anything else. And the way that I came to that was through math. So let's say one person believes in the Judeo-Christian God as outlined in pick your version of the Old or New Testament, and another person believes that there is just simply nothing, and another person believes that the universe got here thanks to a flying pig in the sky. And but the fact is that there are infinite possibilities, right? It could be the flying pig. It could be the Judeo-Christian God. It could be, you know, the Hindu creation legend, or, you know, it could, any number. There's infinite possibilities of how we could have gotten here. So any one of those, like, let's say you think there's like an 80% chance it was the Judeo-Christian God, and like a 15% chance it was nothing, and like a 4% chance it was the, you know, the multiple gods, and a, you know, less than 1% chance that it was the flying pig in the sky. But if you take all of those, so you take, you know, 1 and 4 and 15 and 80, and you divide each of them by infinity, they're going to be the same thing. So no matter how likely something is, as soon as you divide it by infinity, it's just as likely as anything else. 1 over infinity. Yeah, they're all essentially 1 over infinity. So everything is just as possible as everything else.
I actually know the Tooth Fairy.
I had heard that.
I think your lapse in logic on that one was not realizing when you saw that your parents were the Tooth Fairy, that the Tooth Fairy is real and it's your parents. And they're going around putting the money under everybody's pillows, and I'm very honored to be the child of the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, I came to the understanding that the Tooth Fairy was like the boss and the parents were the independent contractors.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense. And did that apply to Santa Claus as well?
Oh, well, for us, Santa Claus, Santa Claus was dispelled early on in my childhood, because, you know, our folks thought it was dangerous to have your kid believe that some, you know, white dude was breaking into your house and leaving stuff under the tree. Be like, yo, if you see some dude breaking in the house, you call the cops. I don't care what he tells you.
That's right. That's a really good point.
Okay. We're doing a song about calling the cops on Santa Claus at some point.
Yes.
I feel like they come in at the right moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, plus, I grew up in Florida where we didn't have any chimneys, so none of that stuff made any sense to us.
Yeah. Shout out again. Noli's bringing the jokes in the Twitch chat. She says, I have a new theory on inertia, but it doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Oh.
Man, I love this.
Oh, wow. I could tell you some stories about kindergartners debating Santa Claus. We're going to have you on the stream at some point so you can tell us stories about kindergartners
My wife
debating
won't let
Santa
me.
Claus.
I've been trying to get my son into the tradition of cacatillo, which is the Spanish pooping log.
Oh, right. Oh, God. That's so gross. It's so gross. Kudos to Michelle for not permitting that nonsense.
I was like, come on, I'll just dress the log up, put it. But nah, no dice.
It was my full support on that decision.
I'm saying it's like it's like that close to Mr. Hanky.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you, Pharaoh?
I am.
That's the theater.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm in the Woolly Mammoth Theater right now.
Squeezy
Packing
deezy.
up.
I'm looking at the lighting setup.
Yeah. So
all
it
the-
is.
all the cool lights are off right now.
Yeah.
See if I can turn the camera around. I can't turn the camera around.
I think it's about time for us to play the Pi Day song.
Yes.
Risky, just for folks in YouTube and Facebook land, this might get the live stream muted because it is a song that we just put out on streaming services, and it automatically will get recognized as a copyrighted work. So
Yeah.
playing our own song on our own live stream can get us a copyright strike.
Yeah,
Right.
so hopefully that won't happen, but maybe they won't catch it inside of 3 minutes and 14 seconds.
It sucks that we get a copyright strike on a song that we own the copyright to. But yeah, see you later, James. Hopefully you can come back in. He's hopping off, and can't wait till we can get to actually see you again.
Yeah.
Yes, and we currently have the links to the streaming for the Pi Day song up at gangstagrass.com/pi, and you can click the link there. I believe right now it says pre-save, but as of today it is official. So we'll get that page updated with a couple fun things, which will be both that link to just play it on the streaming services and also the link to the YouTube video that Wrench made, which I believe he is about to share with us.
Yeah, here we go.
Woo!
Bring up some Pi Day music for everybody.
Well, you can't repeat and you can't ever reach the end. Just said you can't repeat and you can't even reach the end. Oh, when it's Pi Day, baby, gonna celebrate it with your friend.
Irrational, non-fractional, find circumference by multiplying by diameter. Never-ending number that you can't even tally up. Represented by the letter pi in the calculus. Use it to calculate the space in your cipher, the volume inside your sphere, or otherwise any geometric shape that has a circular element. Cone cylinders, capsules, all relevant. A lot more than 3.14. Short the right amount of places your mission could be done for. Approximate it with care, but keep it constant. Stretch it up in the midst of running into problems.
You can't repeat and you can't ever reach the end. Now you can't repeat and you can't even reach the end. Now when it's March 14th, you're celebrating Pi Day again.
3.14, so on and so on. Go on like me on a track when I float on. I'm saying this modestly, center of attention to the radius, honestly. So it ain't no surprise I spit all day from this one to the eyes. Besides, I can still go a step beyond. That's what I mean when I make that 316 tone. The first volume fills the room like 100 tons. Come and get it, you know that you wanted some. Kept it going like the number one. Just when you thought it ended, here comes another one.
You can't repeat and you can't ever reach the end. Oh, I said you can't repeat and you can't even reach the end. Oh, when it's Pi Day, baby, gonna celebrate it with your friend. Shock it to me now. Come on. Well, you can't repeat and you can't ever reach the end. No, you can't repeat and you can't ever reach the end. When it's March 14th, you're celebrating Pi Day again.
There you go.
Woot! And tell us, what is that sick banjo happening at the end there?
So what Danjo did there was he took the first 32 digits of pi and translated each of them into notes based on the key that the song is in. Since the song, I think, was in C.
Right.
So C would be 1, D would be 2, E would be 3,
See
etc.
previous discussion of intervals.
Yeah. And then he took those numbers of what note it would be in the key and just played those as a sequence and got that very weird melody.
And the song, even though obviously it shouldn't because it's against the spirit of the thing, does actually repeat perfectly. If you put it on loop, it is extremely excellent. So, if you do that, just understand that pi does not repeat. We weren't kidding about that. The whole song is mathematically accurate. Dolio really dropped the math in that verse. Did you have fun writing that, bud?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It wasn't the first time I written something mathematical into a song.
No, not at all. Far from it.
I have a bad habit of doing that.
I don't think it's a bad habit.
Oh yeah.
I kind of
I
love
think the
it.
first mathematical rhyme I did was back in college when I said Dolio be on some next shit like the graph of x cube is asymptotically symmetric.
Asymptotic. That is a word that has been used. So I keep seeing people use the word asymptotic, and yet the autocorrect seems to keep autocorrecting it to asymptomatic, which is of course a very different thing, both relevant in the current discussions.
What's even nerdier is that I followed it up with oblique, like when I speak in parametrics.
Wow. Kapow. Kapow. So, okay, so interesting things about that song. One is the incredible mathematical accuracy of this song. It is accurate throughout, which does mean that we probably at some point are going to have to do a lyric video for school purposes. One is that that banjo at the end is actually the first many digits of pi as played on the banjo, is translated into the C scale. And another one is that the song length is 3 minutes and 14.1592 seconds, because Wrench is just a badass like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I was able to do that, and I took a screenshot of the little time counter in Pro Tools when I was producing it.
Nice.
Where did it go?
Right, because if you're looking on iTunes or something, it's just going to say 3:14, or YouTube, the jackknifes, 3.315 is what it says, which is just not even correct rounding. Yeah, it's just.
But here's a screenshot of the actual exact time encounter in Pro Tools, showing here that it is 3 minutes and 14.159 seconds.
Yes.
So how about that for that ass?
And there's one other thing that I love about the song. Can you guess what it is?
Oh, it's a little something getting scratched in there by DJ Lacey T.
Oh.
Which is actually Sleeves shouting pi.
I didn't know that.
That's me.
Yeah.
I got very excited when I first heard the song and sent Wrench audio of me just shouting pi.
It was cool.
So that is our Pi Day release, 3 minutes and 14.159 seconds of it. So share it with all your nerdy friends.
It's out today so that you can use it on Sunday for all of your Pi Day celebrations, whatever kind of getting crazy in your socially distanced way you are doing on Sunday. Pop on the new Pi Day theme song to rock out to.
Right. I think I might have a special little Pi Day Zoom get together and play the song and just let my friends come by and hang out. I do have a friend who has a Pi Day birthday. He will not be invited. I'm kidding. I'll invite him.
Yeah, we'll be I'm driving around town, hitting people in the face with pies.
That's a great way to celebrate.
Okay. I
And
don't know,
you
for some
get
reason-
COVID. And
I
you
don't know.
get COVID.
It seems like when I was a kid, that was like the biggest gag for some reason on television. People getting hit in the face with cream pies.
Oh yeah,
You remember that?
totally.
I mean, the most recent time that
Pie in the
I've
Face is
seen that,
classic.
yeah, it's a total classic. I mean, that's like Three Stooges classic. Probably dates back to, I don't know, vaudeville stuff before that. But the most recent time I saw it was watching, I think it was the most recent season of The Amazing Race. There we go. No cartoon sneeze now. I got it under control. Yeah,
Oh, I
they
was
they
wondering what was
did
happening.
they did a thing where they had to like make basically cream pies. Or
Mhm.
they had to
Yeah.
like whip the cream to make cream pies, and then they got like pies to the face.
Mhm.
It was gratuitous. It was obviously just for the sake of the gag. But yeah, still holding up. That's an ancient tradition at this point. The pie to the face.
Absolutely.
Have you ever gotten a pie to the face? Has anybody here actually ever been pied?
No, I've plunged my face into a pie once or twice. But,
Right. This may be something I
but
need
I've
to
never
record.
had a pie like just cream pie, whatever.
Okay, so I'm just
Wait a
gonna.
minute. Let me stop phrasing.
I'm just.
Noli wants some pie now.
I'm just gonna.
Blackberry with French vanilla ice cream sounds awesome.
Yeah,
That does sound
I saw
awesome.
somebody mentioning our son's John 3:16.
Mhm.
The thing is, like, on its face, it sounds like one thing, but it is a different thing
Mhm.
because it really is. It boils down to him being the John
John.
with 3:16s, like as in a 16-bar verse 3 times in the course of a song,
Mhm.
and John being a popular word to use as the multi-purpose placeholder for whatever it is you're trying to say in Philadelphia.
I got called out for
But-
that today in Clubhouse. Actually,
What?
well, in my profile, I
What, for
had.
saying John a bunch?
I had in my profile I had like, you know, our new Pi Day John dropped today and had the link, and that DJ
Yeah,
that I was
sure.
talking to was like, so who in your crew is from Philadelphia?
right. The thing is, the funny is, like, my wife is from Philly, born and raised as well, and you know I've been living here for like it's 14 years now. But she's like, I'm from here, and I don't say John as much as you do, and she said it's Randy's fault because he uses John like a comma.
Mhm.
But, you know, being in Philly, you say the word John, people know what you're talking about, no matter what John you're talking about.
Mhm.
Mhm.
They'll be like, you know, the John. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, here you go.
It's
And they'll know exactly which John you're talking about. It could be next to another John, and they'll hand you the John you're referring to.
the key thing that I think is really important for people to understand about John is it's an all-purpose noun, but it's a specific all-purpose noun. So like you could use it for thing, but you can't use it for stuff unless you make it plural, right? All the Johns would be all the stuff, but you can't say, you know,
Unless you say them John.
oh, interesting. Okay, this is a nuance of the usage I was not familiar with.
Well, the thing is that is still plural, but it's not like you're saying, it's like you're saying Johns, but kind of dropping the S.
Mhm.
Got it. It's a dialect thing.
Kind of like when you say them shits, but you wouldn't say them shit. Excuse my language. I decided to start saying a curse every now and then.
I was gonna say I did notice. Welcome back. We welcome
Yeah.
your occasionally foul mouth with open arms.
And pipe down, Pharaoh. Pharaoh's just dominating this discussion way too much.
It was
That's
a
right.
hard decision, but it was tough.
Yeah, fuck yeah,
I-
man.
I
got
went
lot
a
to
good-
say, y'all. Fuck yeah.
I went a good year.
Yeah. Yes.
But I don't know. It's a common word for excrement. I could say it.
It is. Well, and most curse words, basically all of them, started out as just the actual word for a thing, but because
Yeah.
that thing was then considered dirty by a bunch of Protestants, that it became or I don't know, maybe the Catholics before them did this probably, it became a dirty word because it was literally a word for something dirty. So
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
think
Bring it back.
The seal got broken, I guess, during a Zoom I had with some of my classmates from high school for a podcast that I was a guest on, and then
What's the
the seal got
podcast?
broken when I was saying I was referring to, I guess, one of our classmates as a dick. So I was like, yeah, just like, don't be a dick. And then it just kind of escalated from there. So far, I've cursed a good, I don't know, 12 times.
But you can still count it on your fingers and toes using only one pass. So
Yeah,
still
I mean,
still a small
I
amount.
already stopped doing it in my rhymes like years ago. Mostly just because it makes it more powerful when I actually do it. If people are used to me not doing it.
Can y'all hear me out
Yeah.
right now?
Hi,
Yeah,
Pharaoh.
but we can hear.
You sound more muffled.
Muffled.
Perfect.
Muffled. There we go. Morphled.
You know who I was surprised to find out who doesn't curse a lot in their verses? Method Man.
Yeah, he stopped cussing in his verses years ago.
Also, Dionne Warwick.
That's right.
Yeah, she doesn't curse in her verses.
Nope.
No cursor verses.
She only
That's what
curses when she
friends are-
rehearses.
Just kidding.
Appreciate it, man.
No, sorry. Only curses when she rehearses. Or in her verses.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Keep that one. Write that one in a notebook.
You can count up the curses and put it in purses.
Share it with
When I write my curses, I write them in cursive.
Share it with some nurses when you put in curses.
It's funny things like we always start off with these things with an agenda of what we're going to talk about, and then we never talk about
And then it
the
just
things
gets
that are on the
worses
agenda.
and worses.
Worses and worses.
Verses. That reminds me of a
What was it?
song called "The Hurrier I Go, the Behinder I Get."
I like it. I want it.
What was the subject for today?
The subject was
Math. It's Pi Day.
jobs
It's the
that
Friday
we
before
had.
Pi Day.
Well, math was definitely.
Oh, that's
We
right.
did talk
We
about
were going to
math.
do jobs.
The second week that we've talking about the jobs that we've had and then not done it because we just talked about a whole bunch of other stuff.
Well, it is the Friday before Pi Day, so we had to talk about math today.
We
We
did.
got that part of the agenda done.
We
Yes,
did.
we did.
And we
Sure.
and we crushed it, and I believe are continuing to crush it. Oh,
That's right.
speaking of nerdy stuff, on April 2nd here
nerdy to
on
me.
the live stream, we are going to have special guest, one of my favorite people on earth, and a person that I've known even longer than I've known Brian Farrow, although not by much. Scott Maxwell, who on Twitter is at Mars Rover Driver, if you want to follow him. And he was the team lead Mars Rover driver for the Mars Rover Spirit and Opportunity. And he also drove Curiosity and worked on Curiosity. He works at Google now. No surprises there. But yeah, he has a long time experience driving cars on Mars. He and his wife, who is an engineer on the Mars rovers, and she worked on Curiosity and on the 2020 Mars 2020, which is we now know as Perseverance. They gave us that amazing behind the scenes tour of JPL back when we were in California last, which we have to do again because Dolia was not able to be with us on that trip. So we will do that again. We'll even try to get the peanuts out of the case.
Peanuts. The magic peanuts. By the way, Rusty jumped in on our curses rhyming and said if they're short, they're terses.
Oh.
We even got some freestyles in the Twitch chat tonight going down.
A terse curse in a verse.
Oh, I also liked Rusty's earlier when we were talking about the pie with ice cream, pie a la modulation, Yeah, right. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Liked it.
Love that.
Yep. And we got a note in Swahili. I'm not sure if it's Nini or Nini means John. So I would love clarification on the pronunciation of that, because I will absolutely make that a piece of my lexicon.
That's also kind of, there's like there's a word like that in Spanish, but more for like Caribbean Spanish. Spanish is more like vaina.
Vaina.
It's kind of like John.
Is there any like, what's the Venn diagram of usage? Like, is it a complete overlap, or are there some ways that you would use Vina that you wouldn't use John, and vice versa?
Like, you would never use John. I mean, like, you would never use Vina in reference to a person, but you would use John in reference to a person.
Okay.
So, like, a John could be a person, a place, or a thing, but Vina is always a thing.
Interesting. Okay. Right. So you wouldn't be talking about that Vina down at the club.
No, unless you're talking about a thing
Right.
that happened. It's like substitution for like esa cosa.
Yes, sure.
Esa vaina.
Yeah, stuff and things.
But John could be a person, a place, or a thing. You'd be at a John. You could be hollering at a John. You know, about to go pick up a John.
So you could use your John to holler at a John at the John?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
There you have it.
that John could come on over, and you could give that John a John.
Yeah.
That
But I
could,
like to throw down the gauntlet and challenge anybody to name a band that could get as nerdy as we did tonight.
There might be giants.
They might be giants.
Yep, that's a good competition.
I would
there.
love to like take them on in like a nerdiness live stream head to head. You know, do like a split
Maybe Weird Al.
screen.
Yeah.
Weird Al could get pretty nerdy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
Maybe Joko. He's got some knowledge.
Wait a minute.
Yep. At Frontalot.
What's the name of that
hang.
band that does the enormous penis song?
Oh, Da Vinci's Notebook. So these are all okay. So I feel like I should mention now the Joko Cruise. So the Joko Cruise is a cruise that my dear friend Anna, who is the person who taught me everything I know about merch and traveling with a band, and she's just an amazing, wonderful human being. And she is the person who brought me onto a cruise ship for the first time. I was an extremely anti-cruise person. I was like, I'm going to get Legionnaire's disease and seasickness and, you know, all of these, like, why would I want to be stuck on a boat with 1,000 people? And then when we finally get somewhere we can get off the boat, we all get off the boat together. Like, this just sounds terrible to me. But the Joko Cruise is different because the entire boat is nerds. The nerds have the boat. And as a result, we do all the activities. So it's not
sounds like something you say to the Coast Guard.
The nerds have the boat. Except we didn't have...
Mayday! The nerds have the boat.
The nerds have the boat.
Go ahead.
Except, so because the nerds had the boat, so last year we actually were... the like second to last cruise ship to sail out of Fort Lauderdale before the lockdowns went into place. So we sailed out on, say it was March 7th, was the day that we sailed out, and the pandemic was declared while we were on the boat. Now, the thing we knew that something was happening, and we had a lot of people, and we had a couple virologists on the boat. We had Jeopardy champion Ken Jennings on the boat. We had a lot of like sciencey, mathy people on the boat. So we understood how viruses transmit. We hadn't gotten to the knowledge that it was airborne yet, although Donald Trump could have mentioned that to us. But he hadn't at that point. So we didn't have that yet, but we did have understanding that, that you should kind of keep a bit of a distance and not be like shaking hands and hugging and all of that stuff. So we were doing a lot of like the Vulcan salute kind of stuff to say hello. And the Coast Guard did not have to stop us from getting off the boat, because we actually did finish our cruise with nobody getting COVID. Nobody, even though we had people coming from around the world, around the country, we were completely clear. We all checked in with each other afterwards. Nobody got it on the boat, and that was great. You know, we had no buffets on the boat, the whole deal. So the reason I bring this up is because it is now coming time to be the JoCo cruise again this year. And a neat thing that's happening, you know, one of the many terrible but also kind of neat things that has happened as a result of the pandemic is that, like many conferences, the JoCo cruise is virtual this year. And that means that anybody can attend. So if you go to jococruise.com, I'm sure that they have all the information there about how you can hang out on the virtual boat this year. If you don't know, if you're curious about it and you weren't able to find information, you can drop us a line through our form at gangstagrass.com, and I'll get back to you and let you know where all that is. But the JoCo cruise is open this year, and Gangstagrass is planning to do at least one event on the JoCo cruise. And so you can kind of catch what we're planning to do is do an interesting thing where we take folks' suggestions, like pieces of songs that they suggest, like maybe, you know, happy birthday and words and all sorts of things, and combine it to make a song on the fly. So that's going to be kind of fun. And how can we do that if we're all going to be on Zoom? Well, we're not. We have plans to all be in a house together, having quarantined, for a week in mid-April. So you'll probably be seeing some live stream of us with us all in the same room, and that's going to be exciting. And if you check out the jococruise.com website, you should see how you too can attend a virtual cruise coming up in mid-April. Gangstagrass will be there.
This has got me wondering if there's a way to get my DJ equipment shipped to that house.
Probably.
Yeah, or if we can fit it in Huey, we can just leave it in Huey and then take it to the house.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Problem solved.
Sweet.
2 turntables
And a microphone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, then that means that the eyeball can come too.
Oh, the eyeball the eyeball better
Which
come.
Which means that we can get some studio quality recordings happening.
Mm-hmm.
But we might actually be able to cram in some job talk tonight.
Oh.
If we choose to.
Cram it.
I mean,
phrasing.
We don't have a full we don't have a full deck of characters here tonight,
Yeah.
but
But the three of us probably have enough that we could tell a few stories now and still have plenty for when we go with the full day.
I was hoping our son would be on here because we have some overlap with some of the jobs we had.
That's interesting. All right, so should we go with what was everybody's very first job, the first time you actually like got paid to do a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to go first?
Well, we already brought up ours when we were talking earlier, and you guys said this counts. But the first job that I would consider a job, I wasn't actually paid in cash. It was a barter in a way, but I did manual labor and kitchen work at a summer camp because I liked it. I liked summer camp, and I wanted to go there, like go for 2 weeks, go for 4 weeks, whatever. But summer camp costs money, so you could work there for some sessions and then basically have credit to attend other sessions. So a few weeks during the summer, for a couple summers, I was washing dishes and taking out the trash and fixing stuff and sawing things and just like basically maintenance, whatever needed to be done around the camp. It was crazy.
That's like, wait, how old were you?
14.
Okay, so technically legal. Good. They were like, yes, our camp runs on child labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the first thing I did for money was kind of hustle. As a kid, I used to go and just I would cop a bunch of blow pops, like a box of them, and then sell them on the school bus for a quarter a pop.
Oh, industrious.
Um, that was like middle school, but after that, I used to cut yards. With lawnmower, raking, and all that good stuff. I can't remember how much I would get for that, but I would do pretty well. There's a lot of grass to cut in Florida. I also was nice with a sling blade.
Oh, goodness. At what age?
13, 14, something like that.
Can I tell you, I don't actually know what a sling blade is. It just sounds really threatening.
Right, it's like a long pole. It's got like this long flat blade at the end, and you use it to clear brush. Like if somebody's yard, if they grass, like if you go to a property that has like long grass, like if you don't cut the grass, it gets insane. Especially in Florida, where in the Panhandle where it rains a lot, it grows really fast, so it gets high. So you can't cut it with a lawnmower. You got to use a sling blade.
I still just think of Billy Bob Thornton going,
Yeah, it's funny because it's like when that movie came out, I felt, because I was living up north by the time that movie came out, I think I was the only one of my peers that knew what a sling blade was, because I had actually used one a lot. But you use it, you swing it like this. It's called sling blade because of the way that you have to move it, and you use that to just clear the brush. It cuts the grass down so that you can actually get at it with a lawnmower.
Interesting.
Then after that,
is it similar to a scythe?
Sorta.
That's what people are saying on the Twitch chat. A lot of people are saying scythe.
Oh, hey guys.
It's similar, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same shape. The scythe the scythe blade runs perpendicular, but the blade edge is in line with the blade, so it's like this. You pull with it. Whereas a sling blade, you swing it.
Interesting.
Because the blade is flat, and the flat edge is perpendicular to the plane of the handle. So the handle runs right, is at a right angle with the plane of the blade, whereas the blade of a scythe is parallel to the line of the handle. So,
let's talk about slinging blow pops, though.
Yeah.
What was a good day? What was a good day for slinging blow pops on the school bus?
Field trips.
Well, I moved the whole box. Well, I moved the whole box. A field trip is usually when it would happen. Like a field trip, I moved the whole box. I got caught a couple times.
What would you get from the whole box?
I think I had like something like $30.
Wow.
Nice. And at that time, what would you want to spend it on?
Comic books or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in middle school. There wasn't really much else to really spend it on. It wasn't like I was going to blow it at the club.
Right. Okay.
Or, I mean, and the funny thing about it is like what I would do is like, and the funny thing that happened just recently is that, so there was a hurricane that hit that damaged the bank that my grandmother had a safety deposit box in, that I had put in that safety deposit box. I had a bunch of first editions of comic books that I bought when I was in middle school with that blow pop money. And after the hurricane, I thought that stuff was gone forever because we went to try to retrieve it and they were like, yeah, we don't know where the hell this stuff is. But I got a phone call from my pops like last week, and he was like, yo, actually like earlier this week, and he was like, yo, funny thing happened. Because not only had all that hurricane stuff happen, but the bank got sold to another bank.
Whoa.
So now Bank of America owns that bank. But before that, it was like SunTrust, and before that, it was something else. They located the box. They found the box.
Nice.
I have not laid eyes on these comic books in like 20 years.
This is so exciting. I hope
excited,
we get to have a
there's
reveal.
a lot of first editions in there.
really excited. We will have a reveal of the safety
That was
deposit
like the
box
closest thing
contents.
to like a I don't know. That was like the closest thing to a treasure for me to have as a kid. And then I put it in that box because I went away to college and I was like, okay, I need to keep this somewhere because if I leave it at home, my siblings are going to destroy it. you know.
Wow, that's very cool.
Now sleeves was it? Was this the puffin gig, I believe?
Yes, that's right. So when I was in high school, I believe someone here said something about I got the impression it was a crack about like not going to school, or someone said I dropped out, I think, and I wasn't sure if it was like I dropped out from the chat or like I dropped out from school, but I actually did drop out from school. I have never graduated from anything, and it was very evident that I was headed down that path in high school because in my junior year of high school, I missed 87 days of school, according to my fourth quarter report card. I had missed 87 days of school, so basically half the school year. And what I was doing on those days was I would sneak out of I'd sleep late, miss my bus, sneak out of my house, and walk down to the metro, which was about a mile away from my house in Baltimore. And I would get on the metro and I would take it down to the last station, Charles Center downtown, and I would go to the aquarium and I would hang out at the National Aquarium in Baltimore. My family had a membership, so I would just walk in as a 15-year-old and just hang out in like the whale sounds exhibit or what have you. So I was there so often that at some point somebody was like, hey, we have internships and you could do that instead of just like sullenly sitting in the whale sounds exhibit all day. And so I applied for that, and you could do the internship, but you could also get a paid job. So I got a paid job where I was both I was a gift shop attendant, and I was also the puffin. So there's a puffin mascot for the National Aquarium in Baltimore, and that was me. And I will attempt now to share my screen and show you that.
Hey.
Okay, you guys can see it. They can't yet. Let me see if I can do that. There we go. Okay. All right. So
that puffin.
That's me and my mom. That's Mama Sleeves.
The puffin.
Was there a name for this puffin?
Puffin. It's on right there on the hat. That's Puffin.
That looks more like a label than a name.
Well, you might think that.
Yo,
I am Puffin.
The glove just makes your mom's hand look huge.
Well, I mean, we are related.
Yeah. I really want the puffin's name to be HR and the last name to be
Stuff. Right. Yes. So there's another one. One of the photographers from the Retriever Weekly, who apparently liked me enough to kiss my beak.
That's some puffin love right there.
That's right. Oh, and I just want to point out. Hang on. Let me make sure you can see. I need to extend the window a little bit so you can actually see my feet, because that's gonna be. There we go.
Yeah, we can see the feet.
You can see the feet. They can't see the feet.
Oh, they can't see the feet because of the little bar at the bottom.
There we go.
Can't see my feet.
If you're doing the foots only too?
I am. I thought you would enjoy this. This is from my my only feets. So there you go. There you go. That's those are my giant puffin feet, and you can see there's an ice rink behind me. And so this was the day I did all kinds of stuff. I mean, I did parades in the like dead of summer, and it is hot in that puffin suit. That is no joke. It is, there's no air conditioning in there. That is not real fur, but so this was winter, so it was a lovely time to be in the puffin suit. And I went to Rash Field in Baltimore, which is what's behind me, and I walked in to the skate rental place, and the guy looked at me and he said, "What size?" And I put my leg up on the counter with my big puffin foot, and I was like, and my mom said, 8.5, 9, please. And and I ended up skating around in my puffin suit.
Looking good.
Thank you.
I
Thank
think she
you.
gave the right size so you didn't end up with the shack foot.
So it was pretty fun. I got to skate around this. I met the rusty scupper fish.
That's pretty cool.
Yep, we had a nice time. I tried to eat him. He was too big. We had a.
Amazing.
I have concerns about the visibility inside the rusty scupper fish.
Yeah,
That's a way cooler high school job than mine. My high school job, I was a desk clerk at a nursing home.
Oh, I think that is cool. I think
it was cool.
That is a very cool
It was
thing.
cool in a way because I soaked up a lot of game. Hanging out with that many old people. Hanging out with that many old people allowed me to soak up a lot of stories.
I soaked up a lot of shenanigans when I was working for the summer camp. There was a few other folks doing the same thing, and we got a cabin for the kids that are working, and we weren't subject to the camp curfews or rules or anything, so we could just head out at night and drink and whatever, and also we were 14-year-olds in charge of maintenance. We didn't care.
That is a kind of interesting choice.
So one example is trash. There's a lot of trash at a summer camp, and they had vending machines there and stuff, and the kids all drink a lot of soda. So there's huge bags of cans, and we had access to some plywood as well. So we did a fair amount of trash surfing, where we'd actually dump out all of the cans and trash on a sloped surface, and then take the plywood and just hop on and ride down the trash hill.
Oh my God. We never would have gotten away with that at math camp, I will tell you that much.
Is that some sort of some sort of New York pastime or something?
No, this was in California.
Oh.
Yeah. This is just kids being given responsibilities.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I remember a lot of times with summer camps, the kids were responsible for a lot of that stuff. I went to 4-H camp a lot when I was a kid. So in 4-H camp, we were at Camp Timpucci on the Tallahatchie Bay down in Florida, and I don't think we had access to soda though, because I couldn't imagine doing the trash sledding. We did learn how to wrestle alligators though.
I'm sorry, you
was that
what
a camp
now?
activity?
Right, or just
Florida.
incidental because you were in a swamp in Florida, so you just kind of had to.
Florida, we had to. It was summer camp in Florida. You had to learn how to be a Florida man.
It's part of safety training.
Yeah.
Do you do it a similar way like my mom taught me how to swim? You just kind of throw the kids at the alligator and tell them fight.
Respond.
Yeah, it was a lot of interesting things happened at that camp.
Oh.
We're talking about
Phrasing.
No, I mean mostly it involved critters and avoiding them or eating them.
We're talking about summer jobs. In high school, I was a Boy Scout camp counselor for a summer, and it was one of my favorite jobs. I taught leatherwork and leatherwork.
People entrusted you with their children?
Yeah. Surprisingly enough, guys, I'm really, really, really great with kids. And these kids were great to work with.
That's right. Most of them even made it back home to their parents afterwards.
There was this whole, I remember these
They
kids.
all had beards by the end of the camp. You didn't have facial hair when you left.
Let me tell the story. So there's this group of kids that came in that just were absolutely hating the camp. They were nerdy kids, super nerdy kids.
We don't like any nerds around here.
No,
Well, that's how they
boo.
felt.
No nerds.
That's how they felt. They're out in the outdoors. One of them's like allergic to being outside.
Ooh,
They
that's,
they didn't feel comfortable at all. And one of them like would like cry to me because I just sat there and talked to the kid for a while. It's just like, I don't like it in here. There's nothing cool. Ah. And I like the kids because they had some pretty quippy jokes between them. There's three of these kids, and I told them, why don't you guys come in during break and we'll do something cool with this class. And I was making a ton of leather braids at the time because they had tons of leather there. So I was just embroidering leather and making all these braids. And the thing about leather braids is basically a leather braid is the start of a whip. All you're missing from that is a handle.
Mm-hmm.
So they told me I wasn't allowed to teach the kids how to make whips, but I would do these braids. and I showed them. I was just like, "Come on, we're gonna make these log braids." And this is the first time I was doing it with the kids, and we just had a lot of fun making the braids. And I showed them how to make the handle, but I told them to take them apart before they showed it to anybody. And after that, they came to the class all the time and had the best time that week. And I just remember those kids. They were great kids.
Boy Scouts, and you got them into bondage. Roger that.
They were already on that path.
Okay.
All the knots that they learned.
Pharaoh, your bald look is getting some love in the Facebook chat.
No, I'm glad I shaved it all off finally. Getting a little bit cumbersome.
Seems to grow back really fast, and then
Yeah.
Wait. Here you go.
Whoa! What pal? That is fun. That I feel like this is a GIF.
Wait. I feel like this is my 7 blocks look. But yeah, summer camp teaching Boy Scouts is the one of the funnest jobs I've ever had, and it was also the first time I got to just be outside and see the stars regularly. It was like a big job for me. I love that job.
Where was the camp? Sorry.
It was the Goshen Scout Camp Reservation down in Virginia.
Oh, good stars.
Mm-hmm. Camp Bowman.
mine was Arrow Bear Music Camp. It
Arrow
was
Bear? Really?
between Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear. And so we called it Arrow Bear. And it was the music camp that you go to if you were not really serious about music. Like music was the pretext of having a camp there, so you could just go to a camp and have fun with people.
Yeah, I never found out about it like any other type of camp until like American Pie came out.
Oh God, that movie was so funny. Speaking of pie, Happy Pie Day. American Pie is a great movie.
Pie Day on Sunday.
Funny because like when I saw that movie, I was like, band camp was not like that. Because like band camp for us was not actually a camp. It was just like you meeting up with the band in the hot ass summer to march around on a field.
That was your weeks of rehearsal.
To learn the routine that you had to do during halftime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was your rehearsals. Right.
Yeah, and math camp was not like that because math camp. Although I've probably told you all about the counselor Keisha who managed to get between me and my math camp boyfriend every time we got within 6 feet of each other.
Nice.
Yeah. There's all these pictures of the three of us.
Like I never even heard of math camp until college either, because I was like, math and I was like, how does math and camp go together?
You would have loved math camp. We got to canoe on the weekends. It was just like a normal camp, one day every 2 weeks.
Y'all always just had camp.
Oh my God.
Us out in the woods fishing and gutting stuff. Starting fires. And then I was in the engineering explorers which is a division of the Boy Scouts but focus on engineering. So what we end up doing is all the stuff you would normally do at camp on top of like erecting technology in the middle of the woods. So we had like we just so that we would basically set up a movie theater in the woods so we could have movie nights.
That's dope.
It is.
All right, I'm remembering more shenanigans now.
Uh-oh.
Give it to us.
Shenanigans time.
Sorry for dropping off.
That's all right.
Rebooted.
So one of the summers I was there for like, the whole summer, and a couple of the weeks was with the other kids doing the manual labor, and then they were also staying on for the session. So we were like buds through the whole summer, and we started a band at the camp because there was a room that had drums and amps and stuff. And we had like a little cassette ghetto blaster that you could press record on. So we'd like set that somewhere in the room and press record, and we would like jam out and make some copies of the tape. And so we were like going to the other campus being like, hey, we're in a band, like check out our tape, we're playing our tape and stuff. And we decided to sort of mass produce it. We also decided that the name of the band is the Moldy Testicles. And so we started distributing. We made like, photocopied a little like cutout J card to put in the thing.
Wait,
and then
was the logo like a set of testicles?
No, we didn't try. Like it was just going to say the Moldy Testicles, but the camp administration came to us and was like, guys, you can't do this because if some of these kids go home and tell their parents that they were given like a tape of the Moldy Testicles by other people at camp that were well. So we changed the name of the band to the like Jack and the Mutts or something, and made big block letters of mutts that sort of had some blobs in them that actually would spell out moldy in the M and testicles in the T. So it was kind of coded in there. And
a
couple of the counselors did notice and were like, I don't know, man. We were like there, we were just skating by.
That was kind of like when I was in high school. The first song that I put out was called "Bigger Than Yours."
Okay. Don't even need to say phrasing on that one. It's implied.
And I even had a Spanish version of that song. It was called "Más Grande Que La Suya." And the thing is that in the Spanish version, it made it more explicit because the Spanish is a gendered language. You can tell what you're referring to by what gender the article is referring to, because más grande que la suya indicated that you were referring to la penga.
I remember when I was in high school, I had this, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with that band, System of a Down, but they got a song called Cigaro. And basically the chorus was just like, my cock is much bigger than yours. And that was the ringtone on repeat. And I used to have to catch the bus in the morning to school because I wanted to keep on going to the good district. So I'd wake up at 5 a.m., get on this bus all the way from Germantown, Maryland, down to Montgomery County. And
so you were another one of those 5 a.m. kids.
For the record, Germantown is in Montgomery County. Go on.
Right. It's really far up 270.
Yes.
So wake up in the morning and get on there. I can't tell you how many times you'd get on that bus and it smelled like straight up piss, or you saw the guy who had pissed themselves on that bus.
Oh, the city bus.
On the city bus.
Okay.
I'm sure it happens on the interstate bus, but
no. I'm saying
Right on the school bus.
I'm from a place where a city bus is not a thing.
Right. Yeah, they piss on them. They piss on them. So one morning, everybody's like dead quiet and tired. And someone had just finished up a phone call where they were cursing and everybody could hear it, and everybody's just sitting there awkwardly. And then just in the pin drop silence, My cock is much better than yours. With the feeling so pure, they got you coming back for more. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm gonna turn that
I'm
off.
so sorry, but I'm on my way to be a Boy Scout counselor right now. But don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was a cool camp. Yeah, I was a good counselor.
Definitely.
A fun one. And for all those that have done camp counseling before, you all know that you're a very funny bunch of people.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yes.
I've done it. It's fun.
So I have a couple photos from camp to show, but first I have a question before we get off of this topic, because I think it's very important. Dolu, you're a bit of a scholar of the Spanish language. Why is La Penga feminine?
Isn't it El Penga? No, it's La Penga.
No, it's La Penga.
Why is it feminine?
I don't know. I don't know the origin of why. A lot of words that you would think would be masculine turn out to be feminine and vice versa.
Yeah, but that one,
Entonces, mujeres,
like los huevos is, huevos is masculine. Why isn't? Why not?
Right,
Penga?
but huevos you would think would be feminine because it's huevos is eggs.
Sí.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I obviously
But you're
never.
referring
Yes.
to usually when you're talking about los huevos, you're talking about testicles, but they're eggs, so you would think they would be feminine.
Well, not necessarily. Just because they're a product of the female, they could really go either way. This is why everything should just be gender neutral. It's just so much easier.
Well, I mean, it's you're talking about languages that are thousands of years old. Spanish is basically a combination of Latin and Arabic.
Yep, we didn't know any better at the time.
Right. Okay, so I mentioned that we went canoeing at math camp, and I feel I should show you what that looks like.
Are you running people into some trees right now?
I was
There was a secret passage through those trees.
I was just taking a picture of them running themselves through some trees.
Are they going into tree 9.5 right now?
So the fascinating thing, so this would happen every year. I mean, this was just not a thing we were great at. So every year people would run into the trees and not be able to get themselves out. And every year this would happen.
Oh, wow.
Every single year this would happen.
What, did somebody just fill up the canoe with
capsized every year?
Was that a defective canoe?
Nope. We just,
just tip them over.
Yeah.
They just tip them over and fill it up.
And I think, if I'm recalling correctly, that these guys actually ended up, they like took a wrong turn on the river and ended up like miles down the highway. And they just they realized at some point they weren't going to be able to navigate the river back. So they got out, they went, I guess ran into the trees, picked up the canoe and carried it down the highway back to the park where we were.
Wow.
Yep. Singing something from Monty Python. It was an extremely math camp kind of thing.
Of course.
Monty Python was a big nerd thing back in high school.
Yeah. They probably sang the Spam song a bunch of times.
Yes.
I fart in your general direction.
Yeah.
Something about arms. I don't know. I remember there was a guy who lost all of his limbs while trying to fight a knight or something.
You smell of elderberries.
What? That sounds delicious.
Monty Python, yeah.
Just a scratch.
All I remember is Bulbous Bouffant.
My favorite scene from that's Monty Python's that has the scene where they talk to the guy who's just farming, or just shoveling dirt, and he basically breaks down how awful feudalism is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the quotes come from the Holy Grail, but the Life of Brian had quite a few.
Yeah, we even had a Holy Grail quote.
Actually, I figured you would know more quotes from the Life of Brian.
Oh!
I know. I should. I've only seen it once.
We had a Holy Grail reference earlier in the Twitch chat. when you were discussing the Swahili word, and somebody clarified that it is Nini, as in the knights who say.
Nee.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
I love how this comes full circle. Happy Pi Day weekend, everybody.
Friday.
Somebody said balls, eggs in Spanish is balls.
Yeah. We're talking about balls.
Yeah, we talking about them balls.
Damn it, they're talking about balls over here on their live stream.
It's funny. It reminds me of a funny moment we had. Family. We were trying to buy eggs in Havana.
Uh-oh.
Well, there's a guy, just like everywhere, there's a guy. So there's a guy who sells the eggs out of a shopping cart, basically. And he just walks through the neighborhood in the house that we were living in for the time being. And we were like, it was funny because actually, never mind. It hardly even translates right well, because it was like basically basically because huevos is synonymous to testicles. What it equated to us screaming at a dude in the street if he was selling huevos. It's like, "Estás vendiendo huevo?" It's like, and he gives you this look like.
You
First
can
he was like,
vaccinate
yeah.
them, but you can't buy them.
Well, sexy look first, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, you mean these? Not these." So he said, "Yeah, I'll sell you these eggs."
Another way to say eggs in Spanish other than huevos?
No.
Nope. Just like there's no other way to say balls in English other than balls.
I mean, there's other words for testicles.
Yeah, there's plenty of other words for testicles.
Testicles, you know what I mean?
But you're playing with a soccer ball, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah. Spanish, languages can be tricky in words.
Right. I mean, it's like if you're talking about nuts.
That's right.
As you know, I eat a lot of pecans, and because I can't, usually I get them at home from our trees, but I can't get them back home because I'm up in Pennsylvania now. So now I get them in, 10-pound. Well, I get them 10 pounds at a time in 5-pound burlap sacks.
Wow, 5-pound nuts.
Right. So I get 5-pound nut sacks.
In Spanish, by the way, is from a trip that my class took to Mexico, and did some stuff in Mexico for a while. And on the last day, one of the girls was like given an award or for something and put on the spot to make a speech. And she wanted to say, I'm embarrassed because of the teacher doing this to me. But she said, soy embarazada, which means I'm pregnant. And the teacher did this to me. And things got very weird there for a second.
Right.
It was quite a trip to Mexico.
Yeah. I mean, even then, she used the wrong word. She used both wrong words.
Right, because you're not permanently...
not permanently pregnant. But,
I don't actually recall if she said soy or estoy.
But yeah, that's hella funny. But the thing is, even with that, when you deal with Spanish, what we refer to as Spanish is really Castellano, which is Castilian, because Spanish is not one language. It's like the language spoken in the region that colonized the Western Hemisphere. Whereas you go to to what we call Spain, you will notice that there are several languages spoken on the country. Sorry, I almost said in el país.
Sí.
And which leads to dialects that are different according to which country you're in that actually speaks what we call Spanish. So you end up running into different, like my wife had an issue where she was in Colombia, and she was referring to what in a lot of places are called ganepas, and in most English colonies are called guineps, which is like a cousin to the scuppernong for those in the Gulf Coast region, a fruit that we're used to.
I'll take funny words for.
Yeah, what is a scuppernong?
Yeah, it's you guys would probably have never seen one. But it was something I grew up eating.
Phrasing.
But
Okay.
but she grew up calling them mamones, which literally translate to suckers.
Yeah.
They're called ganepas in most of the other places, which is closer to its actual name, which is genep. But mamones means suckers, but that is more of an insult because it doesn't mean like a sucker, like it mean like we think of sucker in English. It means one who sucks. Mamones, like a person who sucks, not a person who sucks like, oh, he sucks.
Yeah.
It's like a person who sucks.
Appreciate the way you said that.
Right. So if a child says that, obviously a lot of looks are coming from adults. What the hell did you just call me? Language is a very funny thing.
Since we've brought a lot of balls and penises and whatnot into this live stream already, I would like to take us out with an anecdote from a Gangstagrass adventure in Portland.
Oh, okay. Please do. Wait, real quick. How does everybody say pecan or pecan?
I say pecan.
Yeah.
Pecan.
I say pecan. Some people say pecan. It depends on who you are and what region you're from. Tell you the truth.
I can be a chameleon about it, but if you ask me the blue, I'll lay heavy on the A. Pecans.
All right. Okay.
I say pecan. I say pecan. But we've been growing them for years. A few generations.
Wow. I want to see one of those pecan trees. Yeah, I say I guess pecan or sometimes I go with my southern roots and do the pecan.
Or pecan. Love me some pecans.
Yeah.
That I've never said.
That's more of an Atlantic thing.
Pecan I have never said.
In Atlanta, I'd figure that would be a Kentucky.
No, I said Atlantic.
Oh.
Pecan. Oh, like UK?
Like pecan, like Atlantic coast, like Maryland, Virginia, South Carolina.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. When I say my southern roots, I mean Southern Maryland.
Yeah.
That's where my southern roots are, like edging into Virginia. Okay, so Rusty, thank you for the question. That is how we say it. Variable. Okay, so
what's this anecdote?
All right. So thanks
tell us about Portland,
Pharaoh.
Thank
you everybody for tuning in tonight. We've had a good time hanging out and getting really nerdy and talking math with you guys. Next week we have an awesome special guest, Eric K. Ward from the Western States Center, to talk about some amazing work they're doing and just chat with us. He's a big fan. And then April 2nd, we got a former driver of the Mars rover coming on to be a special guest. It is going to get even nerdier, maybe. We'll see. But to leave you guys on one anecdote, since we're bringing in all the genitalia tonight, and it was brought up earlier, a band called Da Vinci's Notebook that has put out a song called Enormous Penis, which Dolio mentioned earlier, in case anybody was thrown by Dolio talking about some enormous penis thing. It's a song. It's called Enormous Penis. It's funny. It's about whenever somebody's feeling down, he looks at his enormous penis and he feels better. And it's like an a cappella choral arrangement of this song. Very funny. It's by a group called Da Vinci's Notebook. That's the background to this story.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And I'm a big fan of Da Vinci's Notebook.
That threw people who laughed on that.
I'm a huge fan, forgive the huge, but I am, of Da Vinci's Notebook. I first saw them in a bookstore a million years ago. They're great.
Yeah, so there's been times on tour in the van, we put on Enormous Penis on the van sound system to rock out to it. And Sleeves likes the band, Da Vinci's Notebook. Now we're in Portland, and this was actually the trip where the festival we were supposed to play got canceled.
Oh yeah.
So we were kicking around Portland for a few days, and it turns out that Portland Comic-Con was still going. The festival we were supposed to play was out in the woods, but there were forest fires going on, and so the air quality was so bad that they had to cancel the festival. But Portland was okay. So we chilled out in Portland for a few days, at an awesome mansion that a friend of Sleeves hooked us up with. And it turns out the Portland Comic Con was going on, and we're suddenly in Portland with like trying to figure out something to do to replace this gig. And so we reached out to the Portland Comic Con and was like, hey, Gangstagrass is in town. You want us to like play something? And it turns out there was an after party going on. There was a bunch of after parties. So one of the after parties that was going on, we reached out to, and they were like, oh, awesome, you should come and play. It's at this venue. We're having other bands play. We'll put Gangstagrass into their set. So we were there, and we did our sound check at the venue. And then the DJ from Comic-Con was setting up, I guess the host of this Comic-Con after party. We're all big nerds, and the DJ was a big nerd too. And he sets up his decks on the stage, and he's sound checking the turntables and stuff and playing some stuff. And he plays a song by this band, Da Vinci's Notebook, but I guess he was not familiar with the rest of their catalog. But because he's playing a song by Da Vinci's Notebook, Sleeves decides to come up and make a request. And so from the perspective of this DJ, he's standing on stage, he plays this song, and blonde lady runs up to the stage saying, do you have enormous penis? Do you have enormous penis? And I looked over at the guy because I was breaking down our equipment after saying,
He had so much pressure on his
I'm standing next to that guy, and I look at him, and I can tell right away he was not familiar with the fact that that was a song, and the gears were turning in his head. Like, what? Am I supposed to? Do you have enormous penis? She asked again.
Is it Wednesday?
What's going on here? And he's like, I don't know what to say.
For those who are familiar with Whip It Out Wednesday.
I was not familiar with anything.
Yeah, that used to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I believe that was the same night we met Rags Morales.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, he was out there.
We chopped it up with him all night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm always going to remember that wonderful moment of Sleeves running up to a DJ saying, do you have enormous penis? And just getting to watch his face and his brain going around in circles for a second there, trying to figure out what he was supposed to say to that.
It was like some of those old commercials where like they say something and then all of a sudden you hear a record scratch.
Oh yeah.
Happy Pi Day weekend, everybody.
Yeah, happy Friday before Pi Day,
Friday
guys.
before Pi Day. The song is out. You can go to gangstagrass.com/pi.
Shout out to our folks in the UK that had chopped in, who shouted out to us in the chat room.
Heck yeah, stand up late with us in the UK. Remember, at 2 a.m. on Pi Day is daylight saving. We go to daylight saving, so we actually lose an hour of Pi Day, which is I got to tell you, not cool. But we should, I feel like, lose that hour and just deal with it and never take it back. Let's just stay there.
What that means is that the alarm clock will now be the sun.
The sun is a miasma of incandescent plasma.
Yeah.
They might be giants.
But, if they could make Pi Day 23.14 hours long, that could work.
I think we should unilaterally declare that.
Yeah, it's funny. One of my colleagues was suggesting we should do Tau Day, but I was like, maybe we'll hold off till next year.
Yeah, next year.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get that nerdy with it, but I'm also a big fan of phi, which is a number related to the golden ratio, which is 1.618, blah, 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 blah. It's also irrational. It's very cool. But I think we've nerded out enough for tonight, and we will see everybody tomorrow afternoon. Dolio's going to be providing the booty shaking jams.
Yeah. Last time I hit the decks, we did a nice little workout mix. I might do the same because I've been listening to the last mix in my gym workouts for like every day.
Yes.
Get everything pumping. So I'm gonna get the blood pumping again tomorrow. We're gonna see how it goes, but I definitely am looking to get us sweating again. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get your sweat on, tune in tomorrow, 3:00 Eastern, Gangstagrass.tv.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I will be there. I will be there on my elliptical.
folks.
doing the thing. Thank you, everybody. Gangstagrass.com/pie.
5. Yes. Enjoy your Pie Day on Sunday, everybody.
All right.
Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah.